Hi everyone, welcome to the BISP Solutions. My name is Anjali and today we will continue with our workforce planning. So let's get started. So we have covered how to create the application. Then after creation of application, we have seen the whole life cycle of workforce from creation of application till the next steps are like this. Let me open the notepad. So our workforce planning life cycle will be like this. We create the application and the next step is we enable the features, and the features are totally belonging to the like what all features are available in the application to use. According to the features we select in the application, accordingly we can work, like all the automatically available business rules will be run accordingly, whatever features we choose from here. So there are pre-built artifacts like the data form, business rules, everything. So after that, once we enable the features, the next step is to the configuration. So in the configuration window, we need to load the metadata that we have already covered in the previous session. You can watch that video. And then the next step is we need to set user variables and the user preferences. So we have already covered that. And then after that, we need to set various assumptions and defaults. So that is already covered, right? So let's see what left behind. So I'm already there in my instance. I have already logged in with my login credentials. Now click on applications and again move to the configure. Now whenever you are here on the configure, just click on the workforce module. So as you can see, we have already loaded the metadata for employee. It is configured, entities completed, job completed, skill set, benefits and taxes. Whatever metadata is available, we can load that. Then after that, union codes and then employee properties. Then after that, we have configured the planning and forecasting preparation. So here we need to configure scenarios for different time ranges. Once all it is done, we can add the options and tiers separately. One option and tier is already there. Even 3 tiers are already there. Let me show you that. So here you can see we are having the 3 tiers, tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3. So that is already available. Now the next thing is, apart from this, we have loaded the metadata for component. If you want to load the metadata for the highest education degree, gender, age band, so that also you can load. And after loading metadata files, just click on refresh the database icon once. Once it is all done, the next step we have written here, that is user variable and user preference. So we come here in the home page and on the tools, just go to the variables. And here we have already selected user variable definition according to the dimensions all which basically required here in the workforce planning. And then the user preferences. So here also I have selected everything. Now generally, here we have taken something different, like November is the planning start year. My plan start year is November, so that will be my period. And employee will be, I have already selected in the previous session, but maybe somebody has been working here, so maybe he or she have changed that. Then one job will be required from here. So I have selected finance analyst, one employee. Existing employees, I can take from existing new employees, or department general as well. Then the scenario I want to work with, that is the OEP plan, because we are doing planning here. No entity. I don't want to take no entity. I want to work with marketing US, so I'll be selecting that only. So if I agree with everything, then I can click on save. So accordingly we can work. So once it is done, go back to the configure. Again, click on the workforce module. And here again I'll move to the salary grades, because what happened, according to the requirement sheet, we need to define the salary basis and the rates for salary grades. So that is the reason, according to our sheet, I'll define everything. Let me reopen my requirement sheet. So basically these are my actual budget, actual data, okay, and on the basis of this, these data are available, because 2.5% was the increment rate, and previous in the previous session we have already shown you how these figures arrive, right? So I'm again showing you the calculations. So because we have the actual figure as 6751166 and 2.5% is the increment rate, so that I have added here, and then we get 6919945 figure. So in the previous session I have shown you how these figures arrive, and because here in the application I need to take all these things in the salary grades. So if I choose here the salary basis as annual, so my data will be the annual budget only. It should be 83039,342. Now because right now I am loading the data manually by manually inputting here from in the data form, but if you want, you can prepare a data file separately, and by taking all these intersections you can load that. Okay, so that is another way for loading the data. But just to show you a different way, like sometimes I want to take annual, sometimes I can take monthly or quarterly or maybe bi-weekly or anything else, semi-annually. So that is the reason I am writing here the manual data. You can take hourly as well. So if you take hourly, so your data will be converted into hours, not because right now we have converted data into annual figure. Let me show you one preview for that. So here in the grade 1, as I have selected the salary basis as hourly, so you can clearly see my rate was 30. Similarly, in the grade 2 also my data was 40. So my rate was accordingly. Similarly, in the grade 3 I have selected annual, so my annual budget was 70,000. So whatever the actual data, we can select the salary basis from here, and accordingly we need to define the rate. So that is already defined. Now grade 2. So grade 1 I have selected annual, and grade 2 I want to take here monthly. So here you can see after 2.5% of increment, if we check here in the calculation, so the actual figure was 33,67,550. So that is my actual figure, and after 2.5% of increment I get the result, that is 3451739. So that is already here, right? So in this way I'll directly select the monthly figure. If I want to take annually, then again I cannot take these, I need to directly write this total figure 414. 20,868. But right now I have selected monthly. That is the reason I'm writing the monthly budget, that is 3,451,739. And if you want to create a member formula or business rule, so you can create that also for loading these data according to the increment rate. So now let's click on save. Okay, one mistake I have made here. This is not our entity on which we were working. My entity was marketing US, and in the previous session I have already load data there in the marketing. So I think this, yeah, it is already available. Okay, so now let's move forward. And for the sake of testing, I'm only showing you 2 grades, but here in our sheet there are 9 grades, so you can take everything differently. Now the next thing after completing this is workforce assumptions. So how we calculate or how we take workforce assumptions? Again, moving towards the notepad. Okay, let's create new sheet for this. Workforce assumptions. So basically what happened, an employee, suppose I am talking about employee whose union code is E0001. So this employee normally working 8 hours a day, and in a week 5 days he is working. So basically it should be 8 multiplied by 5 if I want to calculate his hours per week. So that should be 40, right? So that we need to incorporate here. Again, I am changing my entity from sales US to marketing US. Here I need to write hours per day. So my hours will be 8, and that I want to take, I am planning like this, till financial year 28, the hours per day will be 8, and hours per week will be 40, because 8 multiplied by 5, 8 hours a day multiplied by 5 days per week, so that will be 40. Okay, then working days per month. So suppose this employee working 22 days in a month. Rest I am assuming Sundays and weekends. Okay, so 22 days in a month. So I am taking here 22. According to these assumptions, we get the calculation. So the assumptions should be correctly entered here. Now talking about the partial payment factor. So the partial payment factor you can understand in this way. Suppose a woman wants a maternity leave, and normally it is decided by the organization that they want to give the whole 100% paid leaves or only 50%. So this is depending upon the company to company. In our case, we are assuming that partial payment factor is, I am taking 100%, so that we are assuming that all the women who are on the maternity leave are getting 100% salary, not deduction. Okay, so paid leaves, you can assume it as a paid leaves. So this is again depending on company to company and their policies. So in this way we have selected the workforce assumptions. Now let's click on save. So it is already saved. Close. The next thing is, so we have defined the salary grades and the workforce assumptions. Now the next thing is performance matrix. all these things are required for the workforce calculation, because if I calculate the employee salary, so everything is important, like not only his basic salary, his allowances, perquisites, and performance metrics means merit rates involved here. Basically, the increment according to the performance of the employee is taking here. So let's see how we can set the performance matrix here. So right now only 2 performance metrics are available here, no merit or default merit rate. Now suppose I want to add some more performances. So with the help of this add option I can add, or one more thing, you can use the batch import and batch export if you're already having the file, CSV file. So you can load that directly. Now suppose my performance matrix will be like this. If my employee will work according to this, meet expectation will be one performance metric. He is working satisfactorily, like all the working hours are completed and the assignments are completed, so I can give that employee 10%. Here you can see if he meets expectations, so it is let's take the same 4 or 5% I can give, and if he works far exceed expectation, so employees are like that, so in that case I can give 10% raise. And if we think that that employee needs improvement, in that case I will only give 4%. And sometimes the employee fails to meet expectations. There are so many employees who are always fails to meet the expectations, so the employer can decrease this ratio. So this is all depending on the performance matrix, we decide the rates. Similarly, we need to create this in the application. So meet expectation is one metric. Similarly, in the alias as well, I am writing the same, just adding the underscore here. The data storage property will be stored, the data type will be percentage, and save. Again I am repeating, if you want to load the file, CSV file, so you can use that also, but only 2-3 members need to add, that is why I am writing separately. Then far exceed expectation is the another metric. Again percentage, save. Here we are not defining the percentage, we are just taking the performance matrix. Later on I'll show you how you can add the percentage as well. Then need improvement. It will be percentage again. And the last we have taken here, that is fails to meet expectations. Again, this will be the data type as percentage. So if this is all done, then close this. Performance matrix is also covered. So we have completed the salary grades, workforce assumptions, performance matrix. Now here we need to define the rates. So click on merit rates. there are no valid columns of data. Okay, so that we can do from the data form directly. Side by side, just change the status. It is already configured, so I'm making it configured. Now let's see if I can change the global assumptions now. Okay, no need to change it right now. So these things are enough. Now rest of the things I'll directly change in the data form. So let's refresh once. Every time you add or delete anything, just please refresh the database. I'm repeating it once again because otherwise we cannot see the changes which we have made. So this is the requirement. Even in a single percent you change, just please refresh the database once. Okay, so I guess all done. Now the next step is go to the workforce icon, that is the workforce cluster. Under that you will find the compensation planning, the demographics and analysis. So let's click on compensation planning. Here the first page is of overview, where you can see all the details like the employee type, the new hire training, the headcount comparison, for which we are doing the workforce planning. Everything you can see here in this dashboard, compensation plans, total compensation details and everything. So after that we have the manage employee option. So whenever we need to add the new hire, here we can just right click and add hiring requisition, and then the employee details. We'll follow steps one by one, but I'm just showing you what is basically available here in this data form. Then after that, transfer. If I transfer any employee, that will be covered here in this window. Then assumptions. So here we need to define the assumptions according to the entity wise. So we have already defined the assumptions there in the configuration. So I hope this is already available. Yes, it is predefined. So this is the way. If you already define everything in the configuration, so no need to define here again the assumptions. And one more thing, we can define the merit month. Like merit month is that month where the employee gets the increment. When employee gets the increment, it can be according to the performance or some other factors as well. So I'm selecting here the merit month as, let's take December, because we are starting the planning from November, so everything will be reflecting in the December month. You can drag this as well. If you want to take same month in every year, you can drag this, otherwise you can select it separately. And here you need to define the cutoff date. So suppose in the December month, I want to give it on 1st December every year. So in this way we can save, define everything and click on save. Then after that, assumptions, there are defaults. So right now there are no valid rows available for this form. We will be doing that because we have already done in the configuration. So we need to check it once again. Let me refresh the database once so that we can see the changes. and once again I'm checking under the tool the variables and user variables which we have selected. Okay, there is no change. We can go ahead. Everything is selected. Now go back to the configure. Workforce. So here I'm again checking the salary grades. So here you can see it is clearly visible. According to the grades we have defined the annual and monthly grades, the salaries also, and on the basis of this we can see the calculations later on. Because if I add any kind of employee in the application, so and I need to see the data of that employee, so according to these grades we can check that, right? So there's scenario, version, entity, currency, everything which we need to select here, and grades should be selected, and then after that save this. So this is all we are doing here in the marketing US. Workforce assumptions are already selected and that is already visible there, right? And then the performance metrics, merit rates. So here we can define the merit rates. Now suppose default merit rate is 2%, no merit is 0, we can escape it as it is. Meet expectation, so I'll be writing these figures. Meet expectation, I have selected 5% if the employee works as per this metric, and if he works far exceed the expectation, so I'll be giving 10%. Then if he requires the improvement, still I'm giving 4%. And then fails to meet expectation, so I'm giving 3%. If you don't want to give, you can escape this as well, but because I am taking 4 metrics, that is why I am writing here the rates. So there is no entity is required, only scenario, version and currency needs to be correctly selected. Again, once it is all done, quickly refresh the database. Okay. Next step, click on workforce compensation planning. From here you can clearly see everything is connected, right? If I'm talking about the one post, that is CNG operator, so his grade was 1 and he will be getting the salary according to this grade. We have defined hourly rate basis, salary basis, so 30 will be the rate per hour. He'll be getting the salary accordingly. Similarly, if the job is job wise, the salary grades defined, right? So sales operations analyst, he is covering under the grade 4 and he'll be getting the salary with this rate, and we have decided the salary basis will be annually and it is 90,000. So this is the reason why we are defining the salary grades and the jobs. Okay. Every time we come here in this page, things are getting changed. Why? Because we need to select the exact entity, and I think this has not been saved, so I'm again selecting it. just click on save option, so everything will get saved automatically. So this is, and then this is general page for the assumptions. Then the next page for salary rates. So here again we need to define the entity on which we have selected everything, so we can get whatever we have choose there in the configuration and in the marketing US. It is also correct. Then check merit rates. Unless otherwise we defined everything, we cannot see the correct calculation for the employee salary. So everything is saved. Now go to the defaults. So in the default, first page is for salary. Here my scenario is plan, working person, marketing US entity, and currency is USD. So just right click here and add salary default. If you want to remove any compensation default, you can choose this option. Otherwise you can copy data across different entities. So I'm just adding one salary default. So let's see how we can add. Suppose I'm selecting the grade 1. For this union code, that is UC001. Okay, again the jobs are not available, so I need to check it. Let's cancel this. Let me check here in the dimensions. In my workforce cube, jobs are defined under total jobs. So for this, I need to go to the tools. Under the variables, I'll be checking zero level descendants for job. Let's select for total jobs also separately, although it is already covered there. And in the user preferences, because we have selected the zero level descendants, so automatically whenever we come here in the user preferences, so we can select the job. So we have selected finance analyst under the total jobs option. Just click here, automatically we will be finding the all the jobs available. So it is already selected finance analyst. Click on save. And now I'll click on application, configure. Okay, so from here, if you want to change the metadata file, so you can just click on browse, and whatever file you want to load, you can load. So I have loaded this file. Let me show you. Under the job, all jobs, under the job, total jobs, and under the total jobs, these jobs are defined. Right? So this is the metadata file I have loaded here. Everything is defined here. So don't need to change it. Now the next thing is, again I'm refreshing it. Just right click here, add salary default. From here we can choose what we want to see, basically the member name only, display, alias and everything. Here you can see we can only see the all jobs and no job. Okay, and from here you can look for the member, you can search result, user variables, substitution variables. So I can directly choose whatever job I defined in the user variables. Okay, I can select that also. But suppose I want to select the individual job, so again I need to check why I cannot see here. Let me reload my job file. It should be .csv format. Validate, import. So it is successfully imported. Check the status, it is completed. In the jobs also. So it is successfully completed without any errors. One more way to load metadata is to go to the overview, and here we can load the bulk metadata file. Suppose there are so many jobs which I need to load in the dimension, so I'll be click on import, then create. So from here also I can load the jobs. First validate and then import. So these are the multiple ways we can load the metadata in the application. Or we can load in this way. Overwrite and upload file. Now click on import, create, and in the inbox, because we have already uploaded the file, in the inbox, Outbox Explorer, here I will write the name of the file, and my file name is metadata_job. So I will copy the name from here, .csv, save as a job. So I can run the job directly. I can submit separately this file, job metadata load. Similarly, I'll create one error file. So you can see clearly the job metadata is loaded, and from here also you can click on submit, so it will submit it successfully. Now again you can check this in the jobs. Under the applications we have this option for jobs. So you can see the job metadata load is successfully completed. Now again I'll go to the tools. Under the variables, I am removing everything and reselecting. So these are the functions. We can take the 0 level descendants for the parent member, or we can take any other functions as well. And from here even I can change the job. Suppose let's take accountant. So I can choose that also and click on save. So this is the way how we can complete the whole assumptions, defaults and everything else. Now because we have some other sessions also, so I need to close it now, because in the next session I want to show you how you can add the hiring requisitions in the employee, as well as how you can make transfers and resignations in the workforce planning. So step by step we'll completing everything. For now, if you have any doubt, you can always feel free to write us over the www.bispsolutions.com. So thank you so much and bye bye.